Welcome to the Haunted Beard, everybody. My name is Jake. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to talk to you about 3 shows you can watch right now on Netflix that are definitely worth your time. So, here we go. Kicking things off, we've got a true crime documentary called This Is the Zodiac Speaking. And if you have any interest whatsoever in the Zodiac case, like myself, I highly recommend this one. I'm a fan of true crime in general, but the Zodiac case has been one of the more fascinating and interesting cases that I've ever learned about and dug into, mainly because they never figured out who did it, and just the whole story surrounding the crimes with all the cryptic letters and the puzzles and everything, I've just found really interesting. David Fincher's film, Zodiac, is like one of my all-time favorites, like top 10 of all time. And so when there's something about the Zodiac case, I'm usually pretty interested in it. The thing that I think makes this one pretty great and sets itself apart from some of the other stuff that's out there is this contains new information and new kind of insight into the case that, as far as I know, has never been revealed before. Now, this true crime documentary, I think, actually pairs quite well with Fincher's sort of fictionalized retelling. And they may sound a little funny, but the reason why is, first of all, because Fincher's film is based off of a book by Robert Graysmith. Well, this documentary features Robert Graysmith and him giving some of his opinions and insight into the case. But not only that, they imply that the killer is the same person in the film, according to Graysmith's book, which is Arthur Lee Allen. The main thrust of the documentary comes from the eyewitness testimony of the Seawater children. At least they were children back when all this was happening. Now you've got 2 older brothers and a sister, and they actually grew up with Arthur Lee Allen being a bit of a father figure in their life back when they were kids, back in the late 60s and into the 70s, as their mother had kind of some romantic flings with Arthur. And so they are now in, older stages of life, reflecting back on all these memories and recalling things that happened that at the time when they were kids, they didn't really think twice about. But now all these years later, reflecting on it and just hearing their insight, hearing their memories and the events that they're recalling was just really fascinating. And I think it provides further evidence in saying that Allen was the actual Zodiac killer. And so I just really loved that this didn't retread all the stuff we already knew, but it gave us this brand new story and just some new, pretty shocking revelations and things like that, with family secrets and them finding out stuff about their mother and her relationship with Allen, and stuff that was held in secret for decades now coming to the light. And so if you have any interest in the Zodiac case whatsoever, I highly recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. These next 2 shows that I want to talk about are pretty much new releases that have been dropped on Netflix within about the last month or so. But the first one is The Residence. And this one is pretty fantastic. This is a murder mystery whodunit sort of comedic thriller. And in The Residence, you have 132 rooms, 157 suspects, 1 dead body, 1 wildly eccentric detective, 1 disastrous state dinner, all taking place in the upstairs, downstairs, and backstairs of the White House. The Residence is 8 episodes long, and I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. If you are a fan of Agatha Christie and Hercule Poirot novels, if you like Sherlock Holmes, I can't imagine you're not going to thoroughly enjoy this. And this is one that I think in some ways, some people might feel like it's stretched a bit too long or it gets a little repetitive. But for somebody who is such a huge fan of the whodunit murder mysteries, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it. I love getting into all the details and all the minutia of the case. And the setup here is fantastic. The detective here is fantastic. Cordelia Cupp, played by Uzo Aduba, and I believe this is the first thing I've ever seen her in. She is fantastic. A great character, very sort of eccentric, a little odd, very smart. She likes bird watching, and that always kind of interferes with her case as she's off kind of doing her own thing, but at the same time, she knows exactly what she's doing when it comes to solving the murder. And she kind of drives everyone around her nuts because she marches to the beat of her own drum and she follows her own rules and doesn't really care what other people think. But That's kind of what makes her so great. So I really like the lead character. Like I said, the setup's fantastic, having it all set at the White House. And there is this gigantic dinner party, and one of the White House staff members falls dead. And she gets called to the scene and has to solve the murder with all these hundreds of suspects during this dinner party. I also like, too, how the show is structured and edited as it cuts back and forth between time. And so, on one hand, you have these congressional hearings where Congress is like asking people to recall events from the night of the murder. And then we flash back to the night of the murder where everything unfolds. And so it just keeps the pacing up, and it makes it interesting. All these sort of eyewitness testimonies going back and forth, filling in little pieces of the puzzle along the way. And I love this stuff. I love looking at all the details, looking at all the clues, seeing how everything comes together. I love trying to figure out who's telling the truth and who's lying. And it's filled with twists and turns. It's going to keep you guessing. It's got surprises. And it's going to keep you guessing all the way until the end. I really hope we get a second season of this. So if you are like myself and you like that whodunit murder mystery stuff, you can't go wrong with The Residence. Definitely check it out. And the final show that I want to talk to you about is Adolescence. And this one is a lot. The basic setup here is that you have this 13-year-old boy who gets arrested, and he is charged with murdering one of his school classmates. And man, let me tell you, this is one of the most intense shows I've ever seen. It's told over the course of 4 episodes, and I'm sure some of you probably already know this, but every single episode is presented in one continuous take. And so not only is this show like basically perfect from a technical perspective, but the story is absolutely riveting. So, like I said, the camera work, each episode is done in one continuous take. And man, the amount of planning and thought that had to go in beforehand to set this all up is incredible. I mean, you're almost seeing like a dance choreography play out in real time where everybody has to hit their precise mark. Every line has to be exact. And not only that, but like you'll have moments where the camera will be tracking with one character and another character will enter the frame, and they'll leave the first character and then start following the second person. And then 5 or 10 minutes later, you'll see the first person off in the background somewhere, or you'll re-catch up with them later on. And just the way the camera moves around and navigates through all these different settings, it's just incredible. Now, as I said, the technical stuff is like flawless, but the actual story itself is so captivating. And when I say like I was on the edge of my seat, I guess that literally isn't true because I actually watched it in bed with my wife, but I was as glued to the TV as I think you could possibly be. This features, I believe, the acting debut of the young 13-year-old. His name is Owen Campbell. Dude, I don't know where they found this kid, but he is going to have a very bright future. And in addition to that, Stephen Graham is in this. He plays the kid's father. My goodness. And it's one of those things. It's like the best compliment I can give an actor is that it doesn't feel like they're acting, right? It feels so real. It feels like you are watching real people just react to this devastating situation of having their 13-year-old being charged with murder. You need to kind of be in the right frame of mind. You need to sort of emotionally prepare yourself. It's a lot, it's heavy, but this is like, I would say, a borderline 10 out of 10 show. It's so effectively done. It's so well told. The writing is phenomenal. The acting is just incredible. And man, it packs an emotional gut punch, okay? It's so effective and so captivating. Just sitting, watching people talk. Episode 3 especially, it's him and a therapist in this room, and they're just talking, and that's like basically the whole episode for an hour. And it is just, again, my eyes are glued to the scene. I cannot compliment the storytelling and the performances enough. It's absolutely fantastic. And the final episode, I won't get into any specifics, but oh my goodness. The final shot that this show ends on is going to be remembered for a long time. And like I said, I actually watched this in bed with my wife, And my wife doesn't watch as much stuff as I do. And not only that, but she like rarely, if ever, gets emotional watching any sort of TV show or movie or anything like that. But when the final scene happened and the show ended, she was like almost sobbing. I like kind of couldn't believe it because I don't think I'd ever seen her react that way to a show like this. And even myself was like, I was beginning to get teary-eyed. So again, prepare yourself, but oh my goodness, this show is absolutely fantastic if I haven't said that enough already. So yeah, Adolescence. Wow. Very impressed. So there you go. Those are my 3 shows. Let me know if you've seen any of these and what your thoughts are down below. Would love to hear your thoughts on these ones. And yeah, that's all I got for you. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.